Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's episode 206, 206 episodes of Mike and Blaine. I'm Mike Byland, also known as Cashflow Mike. That is my friend and my partner, the CEO of Dry Run, Blaine Burtz. What's up, man?
It's nice to be back. We actually had another week off. It always feels like a month off when we miss a week, but I know you were at a big conference and just killing it over there. And so it's nice to be back and kicking it here.
And that's kind of the topic of today, right? Is like going how things start, don't always how they finish. And I think I got some stories from last week to talk about. But I got to tell you, I've been to a ton of conferences in Florida, right? And I always kind of end up at the Marriott World Center, which is like out in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, it's a huge place and it's really nice, but it's just a huge place. This one was at the Hilton Orlando, which is like a mile and a half, 2 miles right from that new epic Universal Park. And I liked it better. They got a lazy river. They got several nice little restaurants. The staff was perfect. I mean, it was close to everything. I didn't feel too far from the airport. Everything was just better.
Yeah. Nice.
I think it was my best conference. I think it was my best conference ever, if I'm really talking about it that way.
Because I know you've done, probably like me, I couldn't count them on 20 hands how many bloody conferences I've been at. So it's hard to turn those into something where you walk away going, man, that was really effective. That was really worthwhile. But sometimes you do, and they're just a gift.
You know what the big difference was? I mean, outside of the fact I'm a known commodity now, right? Because I've been doing it for several years for the SBDC. And, I do this one. They keep calling me back to do this one, presentation called the 7-minute conversation, right? And every year since I've done it like 5 years in a row, it's packed, wall to wall. People this time were sitting down the center aisle on the floor, Indian style, just to get in this room to hear me do it. I'm like, I didn't even have room to move because there was so many people. It was an amazing experience. But I think it's the known commodity. As people go through and maybe there's turnover, they go, hey, dude, that's the one. You got to go to that one, right? Yeah. So they keep calling me back for it. The other thing did I tell you I joined this partnership or formed a partnership with a group called PopStart. Okay. And PopStart is a collaboration between a company called Business Sense and QB Express. And what they do is QuickBooks training for, franchises. They do QuickBooks training for the SBDC, but FedEx. They do QuickBooks training, right? That's what they're kind of known for that. And even QuickBooks pushes people to them. Hey, you need training? Go get it from here. Mm-hmm. Well, Business Sense and QB Express formed a partnership called PopStart. And what this is, it's a collaboration of other companies that are all forming this training type thing with the purpose of also selling their software. So check this out. 5 companies are involved with this partnership. Mm-hmm. PopStart, of course, is kind of the head of doing it. Well, you got Xero, which is the big QuickBooks competitor. Mm-hmm. You got this company called MailChimp. I don't know if you heard of them.
Owned by Intuit, yeah.
You've got this company that's been around about 30 years, and probably all of us, if you've ever built a business plan, have used it. It's called LivePlan, and it used to be called Business Plan Pro, but by Palo Alto Software. So there's 4 companies. The 5th company they added was a company called Cashflow Mike.
Nice. Sweet.
No, but think about this. Now it's all this conglomerate marketing and partnering all together. We did this bingo card, like, hey, you visit these 5 booths. There's 45 booths or whatever in the exhibit hall. You go to this 5, and we did a raffle at the end. And dude, I'm there with MailChimp and Xero and LivePlan and Cashflow Mike. It's all one thing.
Nice. And
then we've got these packages to be sold after that. Can you believe that?
Oh, I can totally believe it with you, man. It doesn't surprise me one bit. You're a big player now, and you have a massive impact on business. So no, it's good on you. But it's awesome. But it doesn't surprise me.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is about today. It's like going where you start. What I thought I was going to do 3, 4, 5 years ago with this company has changed. I would have never guessed that. You couldn't have told me 5 years ago, hey, Mike, you're going to form a partnership with MailChimp and Xero and LivePlan, and you're going to, be part of this training conglomeration for, for franchises in the SBDC around the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have said, what? That doesn't sound like me.
it's a great topic. And that I know that topic extremely well, but successful businesses almost always do. It's rare that you start in one place and just kind of go to the finish line in the same way. So let's dive in. But before we dive into that, we got to talk about our beer and our beer sponsors. What are you drinking today?
I'm gonna tell you what. You remember last week I sent you a text with a photo of the coolest bartender in Orlando. His name is Kevin, and he works at the Hilton Orlando. Kevin introduced me to a beer that is now my new favorite beer. Outside of Neighbor Pat stuff, I'm talking about the beer. And now I'm a little pissed because I can't get it because they only get it in Florida. I can't get it here in Texas. Yeah. But man, this thing called the Sun Squishy. Right? The Sun Squishy. Remember I showed you, check that out. It's got great art. It's an IPA. It's called, I think it's called a Florida IPA from Sun Creek Brewery. But man, the citrus in this IPA is to die for. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Hilton Orlando. This is my new favorite, and Sun Creek Brewery. Hey, reach out to us, my man, because I'll buy these for sure.
Nice. That's beauty. I know you're sending me a text of the cans, and they were just awesome. I went back to one of my favorite breweries in Edmonton, and also this time I'm featuring one of my favorite beers from that brewery. And I was there on the weekend, and you know what? They had plywood on their front door because someone smashed through their window late last week, and I saw that, and it showed up on socials and said, "Come help us pay for our door." And I said, okay, we're going over there. We're going to help pay for the door. And so I bought some beer there, and now I'm going to feature them. And this is one of my favorite beers in town. I love stouts. It's from Omen Brewing, and it's the Puka Extra Stout. I love this Puka Stout. If you love stouts and you're in Edmonton, if you haven't had one, I think it's the best stout in town. And they also have a milk stout that I love, and I have a whole bunch in the fridge. But Puka is something special. So good on you guys at Omen over there. And hopefully you made enough this weekend, a little extra to pay for your door. So.
Right on. What does Puka mean? There's like a star NFL wide receiver whose name is Puka. That's kind of cool.
I have no idea. It doesn't explain. It just is. I don't know. I'd have to look it up after, but it's delicious stout.
All right, so let me tell you about another beer sponsor that I spent time with. She even came and worked the booth in Orlando. Karen Harrison is releasing a new book. Right. It's called Stop Growing Broke and Start Growing Profits. Nice. So it's actually a pretty good book. Got lots of good stuff. Easy read, easy to pay attention to. But she did a presentation for the SBDC. I mean, absolutely killed it. People were responding to her. She just has a great message. She owns 3S Smart Consulting up in Michigan. You have to go check her out. And if you go to Amazon, look for this book, right? Yeah. Karen Harrison, stop growing broke and start growing profits. So, nice.
Very
good stuff.
Thanks,
Very good
Karen.
Stuff.
Appreciate it. And after you talk with Karen, and you're going to have to know how to use your QuickBooks to make sure that your books are all up to date, you got to go talk with Rachel Barnett, or go check out her YouTube channel at Gentle Frog. So it's YouTube at Gentle Frog, or you can go to her website, gentlefrog.com. You will find out all this amazing information on how to best use your QuickBooks Online files. So thanks again, Rachel. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna pull up because he's been texting me every day all these Frenchy videos, right? So I put together this pin for the conference that was a picture of Mozzie wearing a Cashflow Mike hat and a bow tie, right? It's AI generated, but I took a real picture. It looked just like Mozzie, which is my Frenchie, my French bulldog. And I gave those out. They was like 50 cents a button. It is like 2-inch button. And people, I took 100 and came back with like 9.
Nice.
So there's a bunch of people. I've seen people pinning them on their badges. They're they're walking around with their what are those things called that they put over their neck?
The hoodie?
Lanyards.
Lanyards.
No, the lanyards thing.
Yep.
Yeah, they were putting on their lanyards.
Yeah. Put them on the
everywhere
strap.
I walked by. Yeah, they just put it on the strap. People were walking around the whole conference with my dog on it. And Larry the Cash Flow Cowboy, one of our beer sponsors, goes, hey, now you can write off the dog food. So I ran with that like crazy the whole time. Say, hey, you have to take one of my pins so I can write off the dog food. And he goes, I said, Larry, that sounds like gray area. He goes, it is, but it's funny. He goes, yeah.
That's not great. That's non-compliant. Anyway, it's probably don't do that. But
yeah, don't do that. But it was funny for me to be able to say it right at the booth. I'm like, well, hey, now I can write off the dog food because we have Mozzie the Cash Flow Frenchie as part of the company.
Nice.
So I thought it was funny. He thinks it's funny. I don't know if it was really great, but he's got a new website. I think it's called the Cashflow Ranch. Okay. I think it's the cashflowranch.com. I know he's a Cashflow Cowboy, but I guess he couldn't get that as the domain for his website. So go see Larry Weinstein, the best CPA in Houston, Texas, at the cashflowranch.com.
Yeah. Thanks again, Larry. I always appreciate it. And Devin, he's been a longtime supporter. He's also been featured on Netflix, which means one of our sponsors has been featured on Netflix. Sounds awesome. I don't know, featured might be a little bit of a stretch. But
totally featured. I mean, he was way in there. He was like the man on Netflix. Featured.
Yeah. LSU fan. And awesome story to have him. And I think the picture's up on our Facebook page. If you want to see the shot from Netflix. So thanks again, Devin. Always appreciate it.
Yeah. Who else we got? Who do we miss?
Oh,
I don't want to miss anybody. Oh, Jeff. You know who else was in Orlando? Jeff. Jeff came and worked it. Jeff actually took video. Jeff just actually, he's the man in the SBDC. I know that right now. I mean, I go in there, there's 1,000 people in this conference. Everybody knows Jeff. Yeah. So if you want to know Jeff, if you want to improve your marketing, if you want somebody to help you tell your story to the world on the internet, contact Jeff Robertson at Rabison.com or JeffRobertson.com.
I think it might even be JeffRobertson.com. I think that's what I have written down here. Anyway, also, we always can't forget about Neighbor Pat. So even though Neighbor Pat didn't bring you beer this week, he brings you so much beer that we thank Neighbor Pat every week. So
No, he brought beer last night. I just had the beer from Florida.
I know, but we should still thank him. I'm still thanking him for you. I'm still remembering. I remember you, Pat, even if Mike was showing a different beer today. I remember you.
Well, he's supposed to come over here. He's supposed to come over here tonight and just hang out like big boys. So
nice.
We're going to do that.
Sounds good.
All right.
On to the story.
So here's the thing, right? Where you start isn't always where you begin, and it's about focus. It's about focus on your mission. What am I really trying to do in your business? Mm-hmm. And I can go right back to, and believe it or not, I use this quote in my course from Steve Jobs saying, hey, listen, when you start with end in mind, that's kind of what I start with, you have to go out into the future and say, this is what I want to do. And then you just kind of hope that the dots line up. Right?
Yeah.
Well, what I'm learning in reality, I mean, that's kind of what he does. I mean, he just has Apple and he just kind of did that. What I've learned in my life is that sometimes where I start, I can't force to where it's going to be. Mm-hmm. And I started a janitorial company that became a hotel staffing company. And it was so much better, so much easier. It was a niche opportunity. It was something that only presented itself because I did the first thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to talk about is like when you're doing the thing, but there's a time when something else happens and then the dots that are behind you, the things that you did all led to that moment, not the moment you thought it was going to be.
Not the one you thought. Yeah.
Right. It's a weird thing, right? It's like the universe talks to you differently. So that's what I want to talk about today. I mean, so you said you had a story. You said you know, that's kind of you.
Well, I know that inside out and upside down. Like when we built Dry Run, we built it for small business owners because I was a small business owner and I had this problem and I wanted to have, but the mission of bringing some sort of clarity to your cash flow and some sort of accuracy and some sort of efficiency. So you're not like making spreadsheets every week and making mistakes and nobody can understand what they're looking at. that was the vision I had. That was kind of the mission we went on, was to help businesses. But we thought we were selling to small business owners. And then it turns out it was completely different. So today we sell to CFOs of mid-market businesses, in the tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. If you asked me when we started, there's no way I would be like, yeah, you're out of your mind. Like we were not at that size, and that was not what I thought we were building. But what happened was what we were building, the approach we were taking and the problems we were solving, turns out solves a problem for much bigger businesses. And it turns out there isn't as much of an appetite in small business where, things are relatively simple. If you asked me when we started, would I be talking with CFOs every day about highly complex needs? Yeah, no, not at all. That just sounds ludicrous at the time. And now I'm like, yeah, I get it. Totally get it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's so crazy, right? It was the same thing for me with Cash for Mike. My original plan was I was going to go back out and reconnect with all the banks that I hadn't before, right? Just that I dealt with Finagraph. Mm-hmm. And here's what happened over this time period. We'll say from 2015 through 2025. There used to be like 7,500 banks. That went to like 4,500 after the 2008, through 2012 and 15. There was some consolidation. If you didn't have $1 billion in asset as a bank, somebody was buying you up or you were closing, right? You just couldn't stay open. Well, so that reduced a lot of the banks that I used to work with. And then from now on, I mean, that's even lower today than it was then. And what I noticed is that even if I was working with 25 banks, that's not a lot of customers. And not all of them are doing business with me, the training business every year. Some of them went to every other year after, all the COVID stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, now I got, 10 that are doing things every other year. But the reason why I gave them kind of a discounted price to come in, because they could put 50 to 100 business owners in a room and they would see me for 2 days. And that would be kind of my pitch as well. Hey, you just saw me. If you want me to help you with this type of thing in your business, contact me, right? That was the lead generation. Well, you know how small that is. It's just, you let the banks fill the room and then you try to sell them one at a time. Yeah. What's become now is that my stuff, I think, is good enough to be more mass market, more. And I've realized that over time because I went from one-ats to doing business owners as a group to accountants like going, hey, I need to learn this too. And then I'm like, oh, wait a second. I'm not just dealing with, if I deal with an accountant, they all have like 35 businesses they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. So if I deal with one accountant, it's like touching 35 people. And if my mission truly is to eliminate cash flow as a reason businesses fail, I want to touch as many businesses as I can. Mm-hmm. So then all of a sudden the SBDC, the fan just starts to grow and leads become easier. Yeah. Leads become easier for doing what we do. So it's morphed really 100-fold. It's 180 from what I thought it would be.
Yeah. And, like I talk with entrepreneurs all the time, and I've got another podcast. I've talked to so many of them, dozens and dozens on there. And there's one of the unifying things that sort of joins all of us entrepreneurs together. Almost every time it's that they're just always on the lookout for opportunity. And so it's not that they're just dead set. They're going to go and razor focus. It's always, you're watching what's happening around, you're watching opportunity. And so much of that opportunity is, you've heard it a million times, product market fit. It sounds like a buzzword until you're actually trying to build something and you realize you have to find the people that it can't be a nice to have. They need you. They absolutely need you. And you deliver something better than anybody else on the planet for them. And they're willing to pay. And it's like everything lines up and it just works. That is really, really hard to get because like I've told you, sometimes I'm like, we're just a few degrees off, but holy cow, is it a big few degrees, right? And that's just, you have to find that opportunity, but you have to find the need and you have to solve that problem. Otherwise, you're not going to do anything.
Yeah, so I was in that position at least 2 or 3 times over the last 30 years. The first time was my first business was a janitorial company, right? And that means that I just left being a state trooper and all of a sudden I'm cleaning toilets.
Mhm.
And that's a humbling thing, right? To actually be cleaning the toilet. You're like, oh man, I used to just be a state trooper and it was kind of a cool life. Now I'm doing this,
Yep.
staying up at night, trying to do this while people are, at home. I'm working when people are at home. And it was one of my clients that says, hey, listen, you never have trouble recruiting people. You always seem to have enough people. We can't find anybody in the hotel. And he told me, he says, I can't hire you to clean, right? I can't hire your cleaning service to do this. I can only hire people. Can you let go of some of your people or give them extra hours? And this is kind of how the conversation starts over a beer. Man, if I could just have a couple of your people every once in a while to do this, I'm like, why don't you call a temporary agency? Says, man, they're not good. They're not, there's something different. There's something wrong about it. And and what he said that changed my whole thought process was, we always get a different person. If I call on Tuesday or I call on Wednesday, I get a different person on Tuesday and Wednesday. Never get the same person. So I'm always training new and I always get a shitty product because I'm always getting a new person every day.
Yeah.
I said, that's interesting because, I get the same guy and that's what I want to do is I would just want to give them the building, give them the key or the code and not worry about it again.
Yep.
I said, but here's what my people need. They need hours. So if I give them, I'm going to have to give them a few hours. You can't just call them in for a Tuesday and they don't know it till Tuesday morning. We got to plan this out like a week in advance.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you know how many reservations you got for at least that week. So at least a week in advance, you should be able to give me, I need 4 people next week. Yep. And then we put the same people in there all week. And if you have to cut people off early, you keep your staff and cut mine home early. Instead of 8 hours, you get 5, or instead of 8 hours, you get 4. So I think that works for everybody because to my people, it's extra money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's how the whole thing started. And I didn't become a staffing agency. I became kind of a hybrid full-time agency, which is like going, I'm the accordion of a hotel.
Yeah.
When I need more, I get more. When I need less, I get less. And if I can't get your hours at the Hilton, maybe I can get them at the Marriott, right? Because a full-time employee can't do that. Can't go work at 3 or 4 different hotels. I can say, hey, you don't have any hours next week at the Marriott? I got hours over here at the Hilton to take care of.
Yeah.
That's how the idea was born by the guy saying, I get a different person every day. I'm like going, I can solve that. I can give you the same person every day, but you got to give me a week's notice.
Yeah. And sometimes those things can get passed if you're not paying attention, right? Again, it's recognizing that opportunity where you start. Like a great example where I started when I started my first business, it was, I don't know, 1999, 2000, somewhere in there. And it was initially me, myself, and I got, you're doing logos and brochures and business cards and letterheads and stuff. And in my mind, you're looking forward and it's like, that's what we're building. That's what I do. But I always had an interest in technology and, everything like that. Well, you fast forward, and this is going back, that was over 25 years, almost 25 years, but go back even 20 years, over 15 years. And you fast forward just a few years later and, we're building a big sort of touchscreen kiosk with video and animation. We're building out the entire software interface. We have industrial designers working on the actual cabinet that it's going to go in. I've got, we're hiring video cameramen and 3D animators. We have a video editing suite, and we're building our own software under our own roof, and we're doing all this stuff. And you go back, 5 years before, I was making a brochure. And all of a sudden, we were working for the department of everybody in Alberta, just every department of government of Alberta, just about, in the feds and some really big enterprises and a lot of the sort of mid-market businesses and nonprofits and events and all kinds of stuff. And you couldn't even picture that because at the time you're doing something and you're looking forward and thinking, I make brochures and logos. And also we're like, holy cow. And then fast forward a few years past that, now I had sold that company, but now I'm like, freaking in financial software. Couldn't even imagine that, right? So, but you see these opportunities and you see these problems. I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs, the way they operate is they see the problem. They think, man, I want to fix that. And I think I know how to fix that. And things just evolve. It's amazing how things can change over time, right?
Well, you said something really important, like you missed the moment. You're not listening and thinking, like, oh, no, I do this, right? You have your vision, you have your plan, and anything that comes in, dude, I've done that. Am I going, no, that's dumb. That shit would never work. And dismiss it instantly without more thought. The older I've got, I'm like going, can I make this work? Is there a play here? Is this a pivot? Is this something I can add on? What is this? I'm a lot more open to those conversations today than I was 20 years ago.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. It's just, I don't think I've ever been the type where I'm very rigid. I'm not rigid. Like just to be able to go, I'm only going here and that's where I'm going. It's like, I'm always looking and like, hey, what's up with that? Oh, that's interesting. Like the mind's always going, but I think part of it is there's a real balancing act between, chasing 100 squirrels, right? Like being spread too thin. But then there's also the other side where you just tunnel vision. And it's how do you identify that? And then you start going down a path, but you're still open to these little diversions off the path and the ups and downs and weathering those ups and downs.
Yeah, that's where I think I was a shitty leader back then. If I look at myself then versus now, and I blame it on the jobs I had before I got into being an entrepreneur. I was a state trooper. I was in the military. You just kind of do the plan, right? You just work the plan, right? You keep your focus on that.
Yep.
And so because of that, you're like going, you guys don't know all the stuff we're dealing with over here. Well, why would that work? And I really didn't think about it until the guy offered me the hotel staffing thing. And believe it or not, I dumped the whole janitorial business and moved in. Didn't dump it like immediately, like day one to day two. But as things kind of fell off, I didn't pursue new business. I pursued new hotels, and it grew faster than I could keep up with.
Yeah.
I mean, my whole cash flow Mike thing, the story starts with too much business.
Yeah. And how do you fund it? How do you keep the capital flowing in?
Yeah. Exactly right.
I know there was a CFO I was talking with last week, and we were just talking about cash flow and that. And I said, one of the things that we see sometimes is, I had talked with another CFO the week before, and I said, one of the problems that he has is they're not deploying capital right. And he goes, one of the problems is I can't communicate to the CEO. We've got a lot of money sitting there that we can do stuff with. I can go to a short-term investment. I'm like, we're sitting on capital. And and this guy identified with it right away. He's like, yeah, because if you don't trust it. Some of it's sitting there when you look at the bank account, but you don't trust you can deploy it. And it was just this other sort of flip side that a lot of businesses don't think about.
Yeah, so that's really interesting, right? Because, one of the ways that you can figure out if you can trust it is by using a cash flow forecasting software like DryRun. Right? That's one of the easy ways to be able to do that. And I know a guy. His name is Blaine Birch, and he runs this company called DryRun. And hey, what could they do to be able to have better visibility into their data? Yeah,
like we see businesses generally are in spreadsheets, and out of necessity, there's not a whole lot of other options for them. There's three big areas that we bring value. Number one is always bringing clarity to the management team, clarity to the CEO, clarity to the CFO to be able to look at what's happening in the business, look at what's happening in the future, and be able to make decisions. But in order to get there, we give you a massive level of accuracy because you're grabbing data right from your accounting system or your ERP or your POS or any other acronym. We can grab the data, get it into DryRun, and you're not getting those errors, those data input errors. You're not getting broken equations and things like that. And then the final end result of all that is, yeah, the cherry on top, you save 20% of your finance team's time, at least. Honestly, one of them, we saved 80% of their time. So you're getting clarity, accuracy, efficiency. So if you're in a finance team or even a CEO and you're like, I need that information on my desk, come and see us at dryrun.com. We'll get you all set up. You're going to see exactly what's happening in the future, and you're going to save a ton of time. And honestly, you're going to make a lot of money for your business by saving money. And also there's that opportunity cost that you're going to be able to cover.
Yep. From hotel staffing to restaurants to manufacturing to making fidel hoppers, this guy can make your data come alive and make sense. So appreciate that. And by the way, if you're wondering what the hell just happened, we were in the middle of a story and talking back and forth, and then some commercial comes right in the middle. That's called our mid-roll sponsor, and that could be you, right? Mm-hmm. If nobody sponsors, it's going to be him or it's going to be me. But that could be you. Just contact us at mikeandblaine.com, and we'll show you how you can be our mid-roll sponsor and get a big chunk of time right out of our show, and we will promote your business like nobody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to help you make possibly that pivot, test out that new market we've been talking about.
We've had a bunch of companies that we've even had repeat mid-roll sponsors.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Lots of times. Exactly.
So, all right. So back to it. When we're talking about this pivot, I won't even call it a pivot. It's an opportunity. It's being able to recognize the opportunity and like going, does it fit? Does it not fit? And what I kind of left off is that I missed it because I was kind of closed-minded, and I stopped being that. I stopped listening, or I started listening to more opportunities and more doors opened.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing: not every door is a great door. I mean, it might be a trap.
Yeah, no, that's exactly, right? That's the issue. Yeah. Too many doors, and you start trying to walk through all of them at the same time. Too many opportunities that you try and pursue could kill a business. Not pursuing them or not pivoting when you need to could kill a business. It's a fine line. It's like walking a tightrope.
Well, yeah, I mean, just another shameless plug for Sun Squishy. I like it that much. I'll give it another extra. Nice. But yeah, I mean, that's what happens. I mean, and believe it or not, I mean, there's been people, I think it was President Bill Clinton, that says you are judged in your life by the opportunities you take just as much as the ones you dismiss or don't take advantage of. Mm-hmm. And we all have regrets. I mean, you know, that FOMO is an acronym for a reason. There's a fear of missing out. Like, oh, I should have done that. No, I'm going to tell you what, right now, you are in the exact position you're supposed to be in right now today. The universe talks to you. You can label it however you want to, but I wouldn't even met Courtney if the universe wasn't talking to me, changing a flight, putting me in the right position, things that don't make sense today. And I think that's why Steve Jobs said it. He goes, you have to look at what it is in the future and then hope the dots line up. What I said originally, I don't know if you changed the thing now, is that your past, your history is the map, right? These things that happen that you thought were just random events, that's actually the map to where you're going. Yeah. When you have to recognize those steps.
Yeah. There's a connection that goes all the way through. They're not just, ants walking across the page. There's some rhythm to it. There's some rhyme to it. But it's reading that and trying to figure out, again, making those really hard decisions of where do you focus? Where do you dedicate the time? When do you need to make a small move? When do you need to make a big move? And I'll tell you, like I've done like this one with Dryrun. This was a big, boy, when I say pivot, it sounds like it was easy. It was like, no, full stop, redo everything, relaunch the entire business from scratch is almost how big it was. But, that was one of those things you recognize needs to be done. And then after that, it's all constantly this open opportunity and seeing all the smaller things and how they line up. And you're constantly adjusting and moving. Boy, it's not even close to a straight line, right? It's just all over the place.
Even a Finograph. We started off as a banking product that became a accounting product that went back to not even a banking customer-facing product. It was built in behind. the scenes. I mean, that's not what we envision. We envision being a customer facing app with a user experience and all that type of stuff. No, it ended up being just parts to another bigger product.
Yeah.
And that's where the bigger money was. It was like a weird thing. Like, who cared about user experience and user, the way they interacted with it, because they just wanted the guts, what we were doing with data behind the scenes. So really weird.
So how do you, like, because I know kind of how do you do it, and how do you recommend people do that so they actually don't let these things pass by? And also some of the tips to pick the right path, pick those little moves that you have to make.
Yeah. So, I mean, I try not to deviate too much from my core mission, because that means I've changed everything. And I'm saying my core mission, that's why when you craft the mission, too many people go through that process of mission vision and they just like on poo it, like, oh no, it's just an exercise. No, it's a real deal, right? It really helps guide your decisions. So again, my mission is to eliminate cash flow as a reason businesses fail. So that actually opens up more doors than you think, because opportunities come, and that's the first threshold. Does it help me eliminate business, or cash flow as a reason that they fail? Well, to me, I think education is one of the reasons people fail. They just don't know what they don't know. I really do. So if I can educate more people quicker, I think I can reach my goal faster.
Yeah.
So that's the first threshold. So anything that doesn't match that, because I made that mistake.
But the tricky part is, I'm going to bring one up, because the tricky part is sometimes the best opportunity is a complete change in vision. And I'm gonna say Slack. They were building a video game, and then it didn't work, but they had built this little messaging app that turned out to be, so they kind of had to, like, this is a really fundamental pivot to go, look what we built here. I think sometimes that's kind of the surprise is, holy cow, we built something. This can solve this problem over here. And how do they see that and recognize it and actually deploy that? So how do you determine that? How do you spot those types of things?
And it's funny, I'm not a Slack fan. I'm not. I've tried it twice now. I can't get it to work for me. I get it, because they were trying to solve an internal team problem, just communicating real fast, sharing things back and forth. I get it. It was a brilliant move on their part. Just absolutely brilliant. I mean, I just spent a week with MailChimp. They did the same thing. Right? Do you know what MailChimp's original company was?
No, I have no idea.
They were a website design company. They built websites for people.
Oh, really?
And they built this little tool to do
the
email through their websites, and they were better at email than they were at websites.
Yeah.
So they broke it off. Same thing as Slack, right? They're just better at one thing than they are another.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where an opportunity presents itself. But MailChimp was originally just a tool for the website design company.
Yeah. And it's recognizing that, making a massive pivot, but then following that path. Like they didn't dodge around 50 more times. They didn't say, oh, here's another thing we could do and another thing we could do. There's also got to be this recognition of, and it goes right back to what you said. It's like, okay, our mission and our vision has changed, but this is what it is now. And this is our guiding principle until we figure out if this is going to work or not. And then you go with that, right?
Yeah. See, that's always the first step. Does it help or does it hurt this? Right. And if it doesn't help or, and it hurts, you probably should just scrap it right off the bat.
Yeah.
If you're like going, I don't know. I think I don't know is the hardest part. I don't know what I should do. Mm-hmm. What you should do is get more information.
Talk with your customers.
Exactly right. Get more information. I did that because I had the opportunity to actually sell my services, Cashflow Mike, to a franchise. And what they wanted to do, rather than just train their employees, which was really weird. That's what I wanted to do, was just train their employees, and they use it like everybody else.
Yep.
They wanted to outsource the work to me and my certified people, right? The people that have the Clear Path to Cash certification. That's okay. So I priced it out to them, and they freaked out. They go, oh, that's way too much. Nobody will pay for that. I showed the prices to the people I was going to try to outsource this work to. They went, no way, that's way too little. I'm not going to go with that. I'm not going, I probably had the perfect price because the buyer thought it was too much. The person doing the work thought it was too little. I'm not going, it was probably the exact perfect price.
Yep. Yeah.
I had to scrap the whole project because of it.
Well, and that seems like there was a mismatch like that. That's one of the first indicators that there was just a mismatch. Right. And but that's talking to the market. Like I said, talking with your customers, but one of the things when you're trying to figure this stuff out, and one of the mistakes I made really early on, is I had already decided who my market was. I'd already decided who my customer was. I talked with them over and over and over and over again. And it turns out, fortunately, who turned out to be our true market just found us and started using us. And then we kind of went, oh, geez, look at this. These guys are using us. We had no idea. And I don't know if it's easy to figure that out, but it's like the more people you talk to, the better off you are.
Yeah, but here's the cool thing about you. You knew what problem you solved. You just didn't know who had that problem.
Yeah, I thought I did. I was so sure I knew. I was so positive I knew exactly who they were, and I was wrong. But the fundamentally the problem we solve and how we approach it makes sense to people. It's just a different set of people.
And I told somebody last night, this is a weird thing. For Central Pacific Bank, I'm doing this 4-week seminar for the We by Rising Tide. It's a women's entrepreneurship program. Mm-hmm. It starts for me at 10:30 at night. I do a 90-minute presentation once a week. Ouch. Starting at 10:30 p.m., right? Dude, I'm in bed normally at 10:30 p.m. I'm like teaching. So you know what I got to do at 10:30? I got to be up. I got to be hyped. I got to be, I got to be cashing on mic at 10:30 at night. Well, it's a lot of work.
That hurts. That hurts me even to hear it. That's rough.
Well, that's what you do. See, that's the type of things that you do when you're like getting paid. And just because they're in Hawaii and they're 5 hours behind me, right? It was something this group of women entrepreneurs leave their businesses and come to the bank for this training after work.
Yeah.
I got to be available, right? I got to say, hey, listen, I get it. I'm 5 hours ahead of you. But
I've done those midnight 1 a.m. meetings. Fortunately, it's been a number of years now. But I've done all those. I've done the evening ones and the early mornings and usually it's all time zone. You do some weird time zone ones. In fact, I know I have one in a couple of weeks here. I'm like, I got to be up. I got to be up so early. Don't forget.
And I thought I was bad. I'm like, I'm the farthest one away from this. No. They had people dialing in from Tokyo, from Japan.
Yep.
I'm like going, oh my God, I'm talking into the future right now because it's like 12:30 in the afternoon the next day.
Yeah.
So I'm like going, I don't even know how to interpret that because I'm talking till tomorrow.
We talked with the company earlier. I think it was actually earlier this week, and one of their staff. I just heard them say and it was late for us and early for them, and one of their staff was like, I hear it's 3 a.m. there. Like, holy cow, dedicated, just up and at them. So it was, it's a different world now. It's a different world.
Yes. But the whole thing was, who are you in the world, right? Who are you in the world and what are you trying to solve? Because every business has a problem that they're trying to solve. I don't care if you're a restaurant, somebody's hungry. That's their problem. They come in there to eat because they're hungry. Yep. One of them owned a little souvenir shop, like on really what problem am I solving? They can't get your stuff back in Nebraska. Right? They want to remember whatever happened in Honolulu and you're solving the problem of creating a memory in the future for them in Nebraska. Remember when we went to Hawaii? Every business has a problem. That's what you have to do is you have to create a statement that says, what is the problem that I solve? And then that's how you evaluate opportunities. Does this help me solve this problem? Does this, because I'm not saying rebuild what your business is. I'm saying take what you have, your assets, and like you said, redeploy them in a way where the opportunity opens itself.
There was a little BS here on what we always get into on our show. So this is years ago. We were coming up the coast north of California, and you remember the redwood forest? They have a tree.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still there, but they have a tree
you can drive through.
You could drive through, right? And so we went over.
Chandelier. It's called the chandelier tree.
Oh, okay. And it wasn't expensive. I don't know. Like if it had been, I'm like, no, I'm not spending whatever to drive through a tree, but it was like $3 or something, $5. I can't remember, but okay, we'll drive through the tree. It was not that exciting because you drive through a tree and it's kind of dark and it's really not that interesting. But the right beside it, they had this giant souvenir shop. Now I think they should have had a giant restaurant there because I don't know how many souvenirs are going to move. We decided like, well, I'm going to have to go in and look. This place was top to bottom, left to the entire thing were just the weirdest little souvenirs for driving through a tree. I'm not buying something because it's not that memorable, but it was just like, I couldn't believe this giant souvenir shop. And that was all they had there.
Not that memorable, but you brought it up today.
Oh, the memory was memorable. I did not need I don't know what souvenir. They had, like a thermometer or something with a tree,
So I don't know where the picture is. I have a picture somewhere of me and my Infinity driving up to that tree
and
too stopping. Big. It ain't making through. So the hole's pretty big. It's not big enough for an Infinity QX. Not
that big. Yeah, we could sneak through in our car. Big. Yeah, that was. Yeah. You didn't miss much. You saved your $3 or whatever.
Well, we went right up to the tree and I took the picture because we're not getting through there.
Yeah. That's probably the souvenir I have. Is probably I imagine I have a picture just like you of the tree, probably the hood of the car and the hole in the tree or something. I don't need a magnet or whatever they had in the store, but I could have used a cup of coffee. I imagine like they could have probably had that.
The very fact that tree is alive with that big ass hole in it is amazing. And not just, it isn't just us. I think that tree has had a hole in it from like the 30s, 40s, 50s, somewhere in there. So it's almost 100 years with a hole in it, still alive.
Yeah. I think it's still
That's
alive.
the story.
Something tells me maybe it isn't.
Oh.
Yeah. But
what tells you? The internet?
I never looked it up, but I thought I had heard sometime because I just when I think about the tree, I'm thinking, I don't think that's there anymore. So maybe I'm wrong. I think I heard that maybe that tree finally died or something, but maybe not.
Oh, that makes sense.
Well, it's got a hole in it. So
it's got a hole in it.
Big ass hole.
Yeah. And everybody goes there.
Yeah.
Just think about how many trees out there nobody ever even sees.
Yeah, exactly. You're a tree in the forest and no one looks at you, or are you actually a tree in the forest?
That's true. Is that really what you are? Yeah. Oh my God, we just ruined the whole show right there with the tree story.
The tree story. I like the tree story. It was all right. I like the. If you haven't seen it and it's still around, you might want to drive through it.
That's funny. That's funny, man. So, all right. So you talked about Slack. That was a good one, right? Slack is a great one about how they just pivoted. Mm-hmm. Instagram did that. Instagram was a game just like Slack, and they pivoted.
Oh, didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've told that story on this before.
You probably have. I just I couldn't remember the exact story of Instagram, but yeah.
Patagonia is the same way, right? They used to be just climbing gear. That's all Patagonia was, and now they're an environmental brand.
And mostly clothing, I think.
Expanded out. Yeah, mostly clothing. It used to be just gear, right? Just the ropes and the carabiners and those type of things. But now it's like anything outdoors they're involved in, and it's more about what is their thing? Are they the ones that do the leave no trace? Is that their thing? I don't remember.
It sounds like, yeah, it does sound like, it sounds familiar, and it sounds like that connected to that brand for sure. So yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, because they do all the food products and everything like that now. So, but it isn't just climbing. It used to just be climbing, but now they do hiking. Anything you can do outside, you can get from Patagonia.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. If you look back on so many businesses and you look back at their roots and where they started, well-known businesses and where they are today, so many have absolutely transformed. A lot of the most famous brands in the world have really changed and transformed with the times. But a lot of times, as even brand new businesses, sometimes you got to pivot fast. Sometimes you got to find that opportunity and make the determination. Sometimes make the hard call, and then you got to decide what you block out as noise and what you let in as opportunity.
Yeah. So a lot of times in this podcast, we talk about, focus, and we talk about failing fast. I think this episode, we're telling people that, hey, you don't have to always stick to your knitting. You can sometimes take an opportunity and change your whole business for the better, just like some of these other companies.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Another one in the books, man.
Another one in the book. All right. So, hey, what you did, if you stayed this long, you actually spent about 52 minutes with us talking about business, beer, and BS. We had a healthy dose of all that. This is what we do. We just tell stories. We try to get your brain activated in what's happening in your business. And sometimes it's okay to change. Some people get locked in to, this is my business. I cannot change it because this is my mission. This is my vision. Yeah, you can. Don't be married to a bad idea. If you have an opportunity that's better that you can take advantage of with the stuff that you have, do that. It's okay.
And don't be married to a bad beer. Go to mikeandblaine.com. You can buy us a beer. You can be one of our beer sponsors. We'll mention you at the start of the show. $5. We're still the best, the best value you'll ever see in any sort of advertising. And we just do it because we started there and we thought it was fun. So go to mikeandblaine.com. Make sure you also like, subscribe, follow. Don't miss an episode. We're at this every single week. And man, we're going into the fall here. This is going to be, this is top business time, the fall. Lots going on. So it's going to be a fun few weeks here to dive into some great topics.
Yeah, this is the time where I have my clients starting to think about 26.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Starting to think about it. Hey, this is coming up. Let's start thinking about it. So That's what you can expect from us between now and the beginning of the year. We want to help you.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.